Chapter 1507. Boom. At this time, the battle between Tian Shui and the burly man was nearing its end. Tian Shui's attacks were wild, and the burly man had no strength to resist at all. He was bombarded by Tian Shui until he spat out large mouthfuls of blood. In the end, he was smashed to the ground by Tian Shui, creating a huge pit. "Spare me, spare me." The burly man looked around and screamed when he found that the people he brought were all killed. He knew that he had kicked an iron plate. These people were all monsters. "You wanted to steal my shuttle and kill us, and now you want me to let you go? Ridiculous." Tian Shui revealed a sinister smile. The burly man felt a chill in his heart and shouted, "There's a reason why I wanted to steal your shuttle. It's because we found a place where a great treasure has appeared, but we need a shuttle to enter." "A great treasure has appeared?" Tian Shui, Xuaningxin, and Lu Ming were stunned. "That's right. As long as you promise to let me go, I'll tell you the location of the great treasure," the burly man shouted. "Oh, it's true. Don't lie to me." Tian Shui's eyes were sharp. "I swear that I won't lie to you, but you have to promise not to kill me," the burly man said. "Okay, I promise not to kill you, I swear." Tian Shui immediately swore that if the burly man told him the location, he would not kill him. Half a day's journey from here to NATO, there's a lake called Qilong Lake. Legend has it that a powerful true dragon used to live there. Some time ago, there was a deafening dragon roar coming from Qilong Lake, the burly man said. "A powerful true dragon is residing here?" The three of them were stunned and curious. One had to know that among the three of them, there was also a pure-blooded true dragon. "What does the dragon roar of Qilong Lake have to do with the shuttle?" Tian Shui asked. "That's because there's a strong murderous aura around the periphery of Qilong Lake. Without a powerful defensive treasure, it's difficult to rush in. The shuttle has amazing defensive power and speed, so it's definitely able to rush in safely," the burly man said. "Now I've told you everything I know. Can you let me go?" the burly man said. Bang! As soon as the burly man finished speaking, a fist bombarded his dantian, piercing through his dantian and shattering his spiritual spirit. It was Xuaningxin. "You're not trustworthy," the burly man roared, filled with indignation. "I promised not to kill you, but my junior sister didn't promise not to kill you." Tian Shui smiled sinisterly. The burly man's life. Calm. Lu Ming smiled faintly and did not mind. In the martial arts world, the strong preyed on the weak. This was especially so in Yuan Lu. A soft-hearted person would not be able to go far. The devouring power erupted and devoured the energy of the burly man's blood essence. What a powerful secret. Tian Shui. He thought that Lu Ming was using a secret skill. Lu Ming smiled and did not explain. Tian Shui asked, "That's what I was thinking." Lu Ming said, "Of course." Xuaningxin said, "Great, haha, let's go." Tian Shui said with a smile. The three of them boarded the void-piercing flying shuttle and flew towards the north at top speed. Lu Ming sat with his legs crossed, refining the energy in his body. The energy of more than 10 4th-layer Martial Royal Realm experts, including a 7th-layer Martial Royal Realm expert, was constantly being converted into Lu Ming's true force. Lu Ming's true force continued to grow. Soon after refining the energy, Lu Ming's cultivation had improved and reached the late-stage 3rd-layer Martial Royal Realm. They had arrived at their destination, the Dragon Lake. In front of them, the heavens and earth were filled with a thick black mist, which was the murderous aura. If a martial artist were to enter the mist, they would be corroded by the murderous aura, causing them to go crazy. In the worst case, their souls would be destroyed and they would die on the spot. "Look, there are others." Through the crystal glass, they saw some figures standing outside the murderous aura, observing from afar. Some of them glanced in their direction with greedy eyes. Whoosh! Whoosh! A few figures tore through the sky and flew toward them. One of them was even more imperious. He waved his hand, causing a giant palm to grab at the flying shuttle. It was obvious that he was trying to rob them of their flying shuttle, just like the others they had encountered before. "Humph, I'm too lazy to play with you," Tian Shui harumphed as he activated the flying shuttle. With a whoosh, the flying shuttle dashed forward and destroyed the palm, before dashing into the murderous aura. The cultivators came to a stop unwillingly. The flying shuttle flew straight into the murderous aura. Look, there are other flying shuttles too. Xuanixin glanced outside and said. Lu Ming and the rest also saw it. Not far away from them, there was also a flying shuttle that tore through the air and flew forward. Roar. At that moment, a dragon's roar could be heard coming from the front. It was even transmitted through the shuttle. A dragon's cry. Such an imperious dragon's cry, but it doesn't sound like it's coming from a real dragon. Xuanixin said with a serious expression. It's not coming from a real dragon? Tian Shui and Lu Ming raised their eyebrows. They knew that some real dragons would also let out a dragon's cry after they died. For example, they could also let out a dragon's cry after awakening their true dragon bloodline and condensing the true dragon war body. Ordinary people would not be able to tell the difference, but Xuanixin was a real dragon, so it was not surprising that she could tell. Could it be a cave abode left behind by a real dragon after it died? The three of them guessed as they continued to control the flying shuttle. After a while, they finally flew out of the murderous aura. A huge lake appeared in front of them. At a glance, it was like a vast ocean, and there was no end to it. Moreover, there was no murderous aura here. So many people. Through the crystal glass, they looked outside and saw many figures above the lake. Some of them were flying above the lake, as if they were looking for something. It seemed that many people had received the news. Some of them were very young, and were very likely the prodigies of the top sections. The three of them got out of the flying shuttle. The flying shuttle shrank and was put away by Tian Shui. They looked around and saw more than 100 people. Some of them glanced at them and ignored them. There doesn't seem to be anything here, Tian Shui said. The three of them flew above the lake and looked at the calm lake. There seemed to be nothing there. Boom. Someone attacked the lake, causing thousands of waves. Splash. Suddenly, a huge pincer reached out from the waves and clamped down on that person. That person screamed in pain as his body was clamped in half. Blood splattered on the lake, dyeing the lake red. Chapter 1508. Whoosh. Suddenly, a silver ray flew out from the other side of the lake and penetrated a human cultivator, causing his blood to splatter everywhere. Everyone saw that it was a silver swordfish. It was as long as a silver divine sword. After killing a cultivator, the swordfish dove into the lake and disappeared. H. Meanwhile, a few cries of agony could be heard as a few beasts dashed out from the lake and killed a few more cultivators. Crap! Many people were startled. Previously, the lake had been calm, thus they thought there were no living creatures under the lake. They did not expect so many beasts to attack them all of a sudden. Whoosh! The surface of the lake churned. This time, countless demonic beasts rushed out from the lake and attacked the crowd. Some of them were not strong, but some were extremely terrifying. Kill these beasts! Someone uttered a roar and attacked the beasts in the water. A chaotic battle instantly broke out. The beasts in the water were being killed continuously. None of the human cultivators were weak. A few of them had been killed due to their carelessness. Now that they were fighting back, a large number of beasts in the water were slain. Human cultivators, get the hell out of here! A giant octopus flew into the sky and uttered a thunderous roar. 8 giant tentacles danced in the air and wrapped around a 7th-layer Martial Dominator Realm expert. The 7th-layer Martial Dominator Realm expert was killed by the impact. Following this, it swung its tentacles and killed 2 6th-layer Martial Dominator Realm cultivators. Strong. This octopus was a 9th-layer Martial Dominator Realm cultivator. Son of a bitch, I'll slay you. An old voice could be heard as an old man approached the octopus and attacked it. The two began to fight fiercely. Lu Ming, Tian Shui, and Xuanixin were attacked too. A group of lobsters charged toward them. These lobsters were covered in armor, which was impenetrable by swords and spears. The one leading the group was a 7th-layer Martial Dominator Realm cultivator. Puff. Lu Ming's spear penetrated a 5th-layer Martial Dominator Realm lobster. How tough! Lu Ming had a feeling that the defense of the 5th-layer Martial Emperor Realm lobster was even stronger than that of many 6th-layer Martial Emperor Realm human cultivators. There are actually so many powerful demonic beasts in this lake. Not simple. Lu Ming pondered. Demonic beasts, as their cultivation level increased, would generally be divided into two types. The other was to take human form and form a force. They might even join a human sect to comprehend the great Tao of heaven and earth and cultivate the laws of heaven and earth. Their path of cultivation was very similar to that of humans, and they were known as demonic cultivators. As for the other type, they didn't take human form, and instead remained in their beast form. They lived in the depths of the mountains and lakes, and continued to cultivate according to their beastly nature. They developed their beastly body and retained their beastly nature. These types of beasts were generally known as savage beasts and savage beasts. Such savage beasts would be even more ferocious, and their battle prowess would be astounding. Obviously, the demonic beasts in the lake belonged to the category of ferocious beasts. The battle between the two sides was fierce. However, the human tribe had more experts. There were even some LV8 and LV9 martial royal realm experts. They were all experts from the small forces near the Shilong Lake. Gradually, the human tribe gained the upper hand. The demonic beasts were killed one after another, and the surface of the lake was dyed red with blood. Hiss hiss, suddenly, the surface of the lake became turbulent as a giant black shadow sprang out from the water and swallowed an LV8 martial royal realm expert. It was a pitch-black giant snake over 1,000 meters long. Its aura was extremely ferocious and terrifying. Swallowing an LV8 martial royal realm expert in one bite was too shocking. Crap, a peak martial royal realm half-saint firmament water snake. Someone yelled in terror. Lu Ming and the others were astounded too. A peak martial royal realm expert was also known as a half-saint. They were only one step away from entering the sacred realm, and were extremely powerful. There was such a terrifying giant snake here. However, there was an even more shocking scene. Another firmament water snake appeared on the other side of the lake. Its aura was not weaker than the previous one. With a swing of its tail, it sent a LV9 martial royal realm expert flying, causing him to vomit blood. 2 firmament water snakes. There were 2 such terrifying firmament water snakes in the Shilong Lake. Outsiders, get out of here. Otherwise, I'll kill you all. One of the firmament water snakes roared and soared into the sky like a real dragon. Its huge body rolled up and charged toward a LV9 martial royal realm expert. The LV9 martial royal realm expert was shocked. A LV9 martial royal realm expert was basically at the peak of the martial royal realm. However, compared to a half-saint, he was still far from it. Bang! The LV9 martial royal realm expert was sent flying. He vomited blood and his face turned pale. If you don't leave, I'll kill you all. The other firmament water snake said coldly. How arrogant. Let's see who you can kill. At this moment, a cold voice came from the sky. Then, a milky white holy light fell from the sky and blasted toward one of the firmament water snakes. Hiss hiss. The firmament water snake opened its mouth and spat out a black stream of water toward the milky white holy light. However, the stream of water was penetrated by the holy light as soon as it came into contact with the holy light. The holy light fell on the firmament water snake. The firmament water snake screamed as its scales fell off and blood flowed out. So powerful. The crowd was shocked. The firmament water snake, which had reached the half-saint realm, was injured by a saint realm expert? Buzz. A strong pressure came down from the sky. The crowd looked up and saw a young man in a white robe. Even his shoes were white. He walked in the air step by step, emitting a milky white holy light. He looked like a deity, the divine son of the divine sect. Xue Ningxin exclaimed when she saw him. Her pupils shrank. What? He is the divine son. Tian Shui also exclaimed. Then, a strong desire to fight appeared in his eyes. The divine son of the divine sect had a holy virgin and a holy son. However, there was only one person called the divine son. He was one of the top 10 geniuses of the Tsangzhou continent, and the top genius of the divine sect. The divine son walked in the air. His powerful aura locked onto the firmament water snake. He looked up and said, Wang Jian, since you're here, why don't you attack? Ha ha ha, I wanted to watch the show. Since you're here, leave the other firmament water snake to me. A sword light flashed in the air. A young man with a long sword on his back appeared in the air. Wang Jian, the peerless genius of the Nine Heaven Sword sect, and one of the top 10 geniuses of the Tsangzhou continent. Someone exclaimed. 2 of the top 10 geniuses of the Tsangzhou continent had come. Go away. Who are you? Go away. A firmament water snake roared and charged at Wang Jian. Divine Son, let's see who can kill the firmament water snake faster. What do you think? Wang Jian said with a smile. He pointed his finger like a sword and slashed out. A shocking sword light slashed at the firmament water snake. A deep sword mark was left on the dark underworld water snake's body. That's exactly what I want. Wang Jian, I haven't seen you in 3 years. Let's see if you've improved. Chapter 1509. The 2 firmament water snakes were divided between the deity and Wang Jian, one for each of them. The 2 sides engaged in a fierce battle. The sword light was shocking, and the holy light filled the air. The 2 Tsangming water snakes were no match for them. So powerful. Is this the combat strength of the top 10 monsters of the Tsangzhou state? Lu Ming said in a low voice. The deity and Wang Jian had not reached the saint realm, but their combat strength was shocking. The 2 half-saint Tsangming water snakes were no match for them. Kill. After a few moves, Wang Jian yelled. The long sword on his back was unsheathed, and a terrifying sword light cut through the void. Puchi. Blood splattered everywhere. The Tsangming water snake's head was directly cut off by the sword light. Its huge body fell to the surface of the lake, and there was no sign of life. On the other side, the holy light on the deity's body condensed into a divine blade, and directly cut the Tsangming water snake in half. The 2 of them killed 2 Tsangming water snakes at the same time. Many people gasped when they saw this. They were too powerful. The half-saint Tsangming water snakes were no match for them at all. They were killed in just a few moves. Can one kill a saint without reaching the saint realm? Someone whispered. Impossible. The saint realm is too strong. It is a legend to kill a saint without reaching the saint realm. Although the top 10 monsters are strong, they are no match for a saint realm expert. Someone analyzed in a low voice. Deity, it seems that it is a draw. Wang Jian looked at the deity, and his eyes were full of fighting spirit. These 2 Tsangming water snakes are too weak. There is no point in competing. The deity said casually. Deity, I will defeat you in this treasure sorting convention. In Wang Jian's eyes light burst forth, like 2 divine swords. 3 years ago you were no match for me. Now you are even less of a match for me. The deity said faintly with his hands behind his back. He was full of confidence. Humph, we will know who is the winner. Now let's take care of these demonic beasts. Wang Jian snorted coldly. His combat sword cut through the void, and beams of sword light fell down, killing the demonic beasts one by one. The divine child smiled indifferently and stepped out into the air. Holy light burst forth, killing the demonic beasts one after another. With the king's sword and the god's son taking action, it was a complete suppression. A large number of demonic beasts were harvested, and there was no room for others to intervene. The top 10 monstrous geniuses are the main force in every treasure ranking meeting. I went to see them once 3 years ago. Their battle prowess was extremely shocking. Now that another 3 years have passed, the battle prowess of the top 10 monstrous geniuses must be even more terrifying. Xue Ningxin said in a low voice. Lu Ming nodded his head. No wonder they were not allowed to participate in the treasure pedestal. Those below the 7th layer martial dominator realm were not qualified to participate in the trial. Lu Ming and his crew were too weak facing such a genius. They did not even have the chance to fight against him, as they would be defeated instantly. However, Lu Ming wasn't discouraged. These people were in Yuan continent, and the cultivation environment was too good. In addition to their shocking talents, their cultivation was naturally high. However, Lu Ming was confident that in a few years, he would definitely be able to catch up with these people, compete with them, and even surpass them. Can I participate in the next 3 years? Lu Ming was looking forward to it. There were 2 treasures in the treasure ranking meeting, and one of them was the fragment of the prison-suppressing monument. If he could help Dragon God Valley win first place, and get the right to research the 2 treasures for 3 years, would he be able to get the fragment of the prison-suppressing monument? Many thoughts flashed through Lu Ming's mind. Blood splattered everywhere as a large number of demonic beasts were killed. Soon, almost all the demonic beasts in the Shilong Lake were slaughtered. Some of the weaker ones were so scared that they hid in the lake. The surface of the lake quieted down. Roar. At that moment, an earth-shattering dragon roar came from under the lake. However, after the dragon roar, the surface of the lake remained calm, and nothing else happened. There must be something unusual at the bottom of the lake. Otherwise, how could there be 2 sage-level firmament water snakes in such a small lake? Wang Jian's eyes were like 2 divine swords as he stared at the surface of the lake, as if they were going to pierce through it. Let's just break it open and we'll know. The deity was extremely domineering. His body was bathed in holy light, as if he was the son of a god. He took a step forward, and the world shook. Then he stretched out a hand and clenched his fist downward. A powerful suction force burst out. The lake water below formed a funnel, and was sucked up. Then the deity pressed his palm down. Boom. The lake water rushed downward again. The surface of the lake shook, and the center of the lake water that was pressed down was immediately pushed away. The lake water surged in all directions, and an area without water appeared there. Slash. The deity whispered. A ray of holy light flew out and slashed at the bottom of the lake, like a heavenly blade. Rumble. The bottom of the lake was directly split open, and a huge crack appeared. However, the bottom of the lake was empty. There was nothing at all. The deity frowned. Whoosh. Below, the lake water surged, stirring up stormy waves. Roar. At that moment, another dragon roar was heard. There. Wang Jian looked around and took a step forward. He appeared dozens of miles away, and a shocking sword light bloomed from his hand and slashed at the lake. Whoosh. A sword mark that was 100 miles long appeared on the surface of the lake. The lake water was split open, and a deep crack appeared at the bottom of the lake. Roar. A shocking dragon roar came from the crack. Following that, the shadow of a dragon rushed out of the crack. It was not a real dragon, but a shadow. After rushing into the sky, it automatically dissipated. Rumble. Following that, a violent rumble came from the bottom of the lake, and strands of golden light spread out. There's something at the bottom of the lake. Many people's eyes lit up. The lake water boiled and rolled continuously. The bottom of the lake shook as if something huge was trying to break free from the bottom of the lake. In that area, the ground cracked open, and endless lake water poured in. Rumbling sounds rang out continuously, and following that, a huge object appeared. It was a huge palace that shone with golden light. The walls and pillars were carved with lifelike dragons. Dragon Palace. It's a dragon palace. Someone exclaimed. Legend has it that a powerful dragon lived in the Shilong Lake in ancient times. It's true. This dragon palace is so majestic. The true dragon that lives here must be a Saint Realm true dragon. Many people's eyes lit up. There was a legend in the distant past. Many years had passed since then, and even if there was a Saint Realm dragon, it would have fallen. Then, after the dragon fell, would it be in the dragon palace? How many treasures would there be in the dragon palace? No wonder there were so many powerful underwater monsters in the lake. There was a dragon palace under the lake. The ground collapsed, and the lake water swept away. Soon, the entire dragon palace appeared in front of everyone. In front of the dragon palace was a wide passage that led to the gate of the dragon palace. The gate was tightly shut. Chapter 15:10. Whoosh. Suddenly, a figure dashed toward the entrance of the dragon palace. However, when he reached the passage in front of the entrance, the dragon statues on both sides of the passage let out dragon cries and emitted brilliant light. Then, the illusionary figures of the dragons charged toward the figure. The figure was a middle-aged man with a cultivation of the 4th layer martial royal realm. He was shocked and tried his best to defend himself. However, in the next moment, his defense was torn apart by the illusionary figures of the dragons and his body was torn into pieces. A 4th layer martial royal realm cultivator was killed in an instant. Some people gasped. It seemed that the dragon palace was not that easy to enter. The illusionary figures of the dragons are so powerful. They seem to be at the 7th layer martial royal realm. That's right. It seems that those below the 7th layer martial royal realm can't enter at all. Some people discussed. Let me have a try. An old man stepped forward and dashed toward the entrance of the dragon palace. Similarly, when he reached the passage, the illusionary figures of the dragons pounced on him. The old man unleashed his strength and continuously threw out palm strikes to collide with the illusionary figures of the dragons. The illusionary figures of the dragons were knocked away. The old man continued to move forward, and soon arrived at the entrance of the dragon palace. Seeing this, more people flew toward the entrance of the dragon palace. However, most of them were above the 7th layer martial royal realm. They charged toward the entrance with all their might. The Divine Sun and Wang Jian also made their moves. The illusionary figures of the dragons did not obstruct them at all. Break the entrance. The Divine Sun stepped forward and threw a punch at the entrance of the dragon palace. Boom. The entrance of the dragon palace trembled violently, as if it were about to be shattered. Guys, what are you waiting for? The Divine Sun said. All right, let's do it together. The others also made their moves. There were about 20 of them in total, and all sorts of rainbow-colored light slammed into the door. The door rumbled, and in the end, it was unable to withstand the pressure and exploded. Let's go. Whoosh whoosh. As soon as the entrance of the dragon palace was opened, the 20 people rushed into the dragon palace and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Senior brother, senior sister, do you want to try? Lu Ming looked at Tian Shui and Xuanixin. Since we're here, let's try, Tian Shui said. Xuanixin nodded. All right, let's go together, Lu Ming said. Immediately, the three of them flew toward the gate of Dragon Palace. Many people looked at them in surprise. How bold of them, 2 5th-layer martial dominators and 1 3rd-layer martial dominator dare to challenge the Dragon Palace, how bold. Young man, newborn calves are not afraid of tigers. Someone said disdainfully. Lu Ming and the other two pretended not to hear anything. Just as they were about to reach the door, numerous illusory true dragons pounced on them. Scram! Tian Shui roared, and the huge hammer smashed forward. Bang! A true dragon phantom was sent flying. Xuanixin punched out and knocked away a true dragon shadow. Lu Ming held the long spear in his hand and swept it across, hitting one of them. Instantly, 10 types of power erupted from the long spear, sending the illusory figure of the real dragon flying. What? The true dragon's phantom was sent flying. Even that 3rd-layer martial dominator was able to knock the illusionary dragon away. How is this possible? Those below the 7th-layer martial dominator realm exclaimed in disbelief. Roar! 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 There were sounds of dragon roars and more illusory shadows of true dragons pounced on Lu Ming and the other two. The three of them stood in a triangle, each in charge of one side, and continued to attack. Bang! 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 One after another, the true dragon phantoms were sent flying by them. Their formation was like a sharp knife as they charged towards the door. Soon, they broke through the obstruction of the true dragon phantoms and successfully reached the door. The illusionary true dragons must have weakened. Yes, after being attacked by so many people, the illusionary true dragons must have weakened. Otherwise, a 3rd-layer martial dominator realm cultivator would not have been able to break through. This is our chance. Whoosh! Whoosh! Immediately, a few people charged toward the gate of the Dragon Palace. Dragon cries could be heard as the illusionary true dragons pounced on them. Piss off! An old man with a cultivation of the 6th-layer martial dominator realm threw out a punch in an attempt to knock the illusionary true dragons away. However, when his fist collided with the illusionary true dragons, his face turned pale as his bones were broken. He spat out mouthfuls of blood as his body was sent flying. Behind him, an illusionary true dragon flew past and tore him in half. Ah! Ah! At the same time, a few cries of agony could be heard as the others were killed on the spot by the illusionary true dragons. The remaining people were astounded. Some of the people who were about to charge forward halted in their tracks as their bodies were covered in cold sweat. They were secretly relieved that they had reacted too slowly. The power of the illusionary true dragons did not weaken at all. Its strength was exactly the same as before. Those three young men were able to break through. Many people glanced at Lu Ming and the others in astonishment. They understood that the three of them were monstrous geniuses, and their battle prowess could not be judged by common sense. Meanwhile, Lu Ming and the others had charged through the gate of the Dragon Palace. Inside the gate was a spacious hall, with 2 entrances on both sides at the back. Which one? Tian Shui asked. Either one is fine. Let's go to the right, Lu Ming said. Tian Shui and Xuanixin nodded. The 3 of them rushed through the door on the right, and found that it was a passageway. After walking through the passageway, they found several long corridors with rooms on each side. When the 3 of them entered the rooms, they discovered that the rooms were completely empty. There was nothing inside. We're late. Everything has been taken away, Tian Shui said, because they could see that there were traces on the ground. There should have been things placed there before, but they were all taken away now. They should have been taken away by those who came in before them. Even the tables, chairs, flower trays, and the like have been taken away. Lu Ming was a little speechless. Legend has it that the true dragons love to collect all kinds of treasures and precious materials. Some of the ordinary furniture is made of precious materials. Tian Shui muttered and glanced at Xuanixin. What? You don't like it? Xuanixin glared at Tian Shui. Tian Shui smiled foolishly. The 3 of them continued to move forward. When they passed by a room, they saw an old man inside wantonly collecting things. The tables, chairs, candlesticks, flower trays, and the like were all taken away. Nestle, that flower pot is made of jade essence stone. Jade essence stone can be used to refine emperor spiritual weapons. Also, that table is made of dragon tooth jade. That's a material for refining saint weapons. Tian Shui's eyes widened as he exclaimed. The old man moved very quickly. With a wave of his hand, the entire room was emptied. Sure enough, the true dragons love to collect treasures. Those ordinary tools were all precious refining materials. It would be strange if they were not emptied. The old man glanced at them and was a little surprised, but he ignored the 3 of them and rushed to the other side in a flash. Let's hurry up too, or we won't even have soup to drink. Chapter 15:11. Lu Ming and the other 2 went around a corridor and came to a room. They finally realized that the room hadn't been plundered. The tables and chairs inside were all rare materials for refining weapons. The 3 of them put them away. Then they continued to move forward. However, this time, they found that all the rooms had been plundered. The room they were in just now was a fish that had escaped the net. The 3 of them went past a few rooms and came to a side hall. The 3 of them stopped there. In front of them, a young man in a white shirt stood with his hands behind his back. He was looking at a painting on the wall of the hall. There were a few true dragons in the painting. They were so lifelike that they looked as if they were going to jump out of the painting. Divine Son. Lu Ming and the other 2 were stunned. This young man was the Divine Son of the Heavenly God sect. Hearing the noise, the Divine Son turned around and looked at Lu Ming and the other 2 coldly. Disciples of the Dragon God Valley. No wonder you can come here. Get lost. The Divine Son said coldly. The last word, get lost, was like the roar of a god. Sacred light burst out, and a terrifying wind swept towards Lu Ming and the other 2. The 3 of them were shocked. They released their Zhenyuan and domain to defend themselves. However, the wind was too violent. It kept bombarding their bodies. The 3 of them felt as if they had been struck by lightning. They were forced to retreat. They felt their blood and chi surging. They almost coughed up blood. The Divine Son cast a cold glance at the 3 of them once again. With a wave of his hand, he put away the picture scroll. He seemed to be disdainful of dealing with the 3 of them. With a sway of his body, he left through a passageway. He's just scolding them. They just have a higher cultivation. Why do they act so high and mighty? Tian Shui scolded unhappily. Lu Ming didn't say anything. The martial world was like that. If you were strong, you could do whatever you wanted. If you weren't strong enough, there was no point in talking. The 3 of them chose another direction and moved forward. Soon, they passed by a hall. There were fist-sized pearl of the night inlaid on the wall. Xuanixin's eyes lit up. She plucked out the pearl of the night pearl one by one, and put them away excitedly. Lu Ming and Tian Shui looked at each other. This luminous pearl was a treasure to ordinary people, but to martial artists, it was no different from a piece of trash. It was completely useless. It said that true dragons like to collect treasures, especially shiny things. It's true. Tian Shui muttered. What do you know? Xue Ningxing glanced at Tian Shui with disdain. Boom. Boom. At this moment their expressions changed. That was because there was an intense rumbling sound coming from ahead of them. Someone is fighting, or Tian Shui raised his eyebrows. Let's go take a look. Be careful. Lu Ming said. The three of them retracted their auras and headed toward the source of the voice. Soon, the three of them walked out of a large door and arrived at a huge hall. The hall was extremely spacious and could probably hold hundreds of thousands of people. In the middle of the hall was an enormous metal coffin. The giant coffin was engraved with the image of a true dragon. Layers of inscriptions filled the coffin. Dragon coffin. The three of them were shocked. It was obviously a dragon coffin. At this moment, a few experts were attacking the dragon coffin. However, the inscriptions on the dragon light formed a light screen that blocked the dragon coffin. Boom. 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 Those experts were all above the 7th layer of the Martial Emperor realm. There was even a cultivator of the 9th layer of the Martial Emperor realm. Dazzling lights shot out from his hands and bombarded the light screen of the dragon coffin. The light screen shook, but it couldn't be broken in a short time. When Lu Ming and the other two arrived, the experts turned around and glanced at them. When they saw that the strongest among the three of them was only a LV5 Martial Royal Realm expert, a hint of disdain flashed in their eyes and they were ignored. A dragon coffin. At this moment, a LV8 Martial Royal Realm expert arrived and joined the others to attack the dragon coffin. The loud rumbling attracted the experts over. Gradually, more and more experts gathered. Clang. A young man stepped out from one direction with a towering sword chi. It was Wang Jian, the genius of the 9 Heaven Sword sect. Bang. In another direction, the divine sun stepped out from the sacred light. The two top geniuses of the Tsang continent had arrived at the same time. A dragon coffin. The divine sun's eyes shone brightly. Get lost, a bunch of trash. The divine sun shouted coldly. He stepped out and appeared in front of the dragon coffin. Sacred light burst out from his body, and 2 experts were sent flying by the divine sun's sacred light. Damn it! The 2 experts roared in their hearts, but they did not dare to say anything. Boom. The divine sun's palm hit the light screen of the giant coffin. The light screen shook violently as if it would collapse at any time, but it held on in the end. Haha, divine sun, it seems like you can't do it. Let me help you. Wang Jian sneered. Sword chi burst out, and a terrifying sword chi slashed at the light screen. The light screen shook violently, but it was not broken. Let's attack together. The divine sun glanced at the others coldly and said coldly, bang. Then the divine sun stepped out. The dazzling sacred light turned into a divine saber and slashed at the light screen of the dragon coffin. At the same time, Wang Jian slashed out with his sword. The others gritted their teeth and attacked as well. With so many people attacking together, the power was terrifying. They bombarded the light screen together, causing it to shake violently. Crack. The light screen made a cracking sound, and a crack appeared. The light screen cracked open. The crowd was excited and continued to attack. Finally, with a bang, the light screen exploded. The inscriptions on the huge dragon coffin dimmed and finally disappeared. At this time, everyone's eyes fell on the dragon coffin. What was in the dragon coffin? Was there really a true dragon buried there? Open. The divine sun was bathed in sacred light. A huge palm condensed in the air and slammed heavily on the dragon coffin. Rumble. The lid of the dragon coffin was opened. Whoosh. 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 At this time, the crowd rose into the air and looked into the dragon coffin. Dragon. A true dragon. There really was a true dragon lying in the dragon coffin. The true dragon was pitch black. Its black scales revealed a sparkling luster. There were 2 dragon horns on its head and 5 dragon claws on its abdomen. It was a black dragon. The dragon's body exuded a mysterious aura. Sage state. This true dragon had definitely reached the sage state when it was alive. A sage state true dragon was full of treasures. Back then, Lu Ming had spent 2 million contribution points to redeem 15 pounds of sage state true dragon bones with complete spirituality. One could see how precious they were. Even if this true dragon's corpse had lost some of its spirituality, it was still priceless. Whoosh! Whoosh! Suddenly, someone moved and pounced at the true dragon's corpse. You're courting death. How dare you touch my true dragon? Kill! The divine sun shouted coldly. Sacred light burst out, and turned into a divine saber that slashed out. Chapter 15:12. Deity, aren't you being too overbearing? We opened the dragon coffin together. Everyone who saw it has a share. Don't tell me you want to monopolize it. A LV9 Martial Royal Realm Elder shouted angrily. Get lost. If you don't die. The divine sun said coldly, unusually overbearing. Haha, divine sun, it's not that easy for you to monopolize this true dragon. Wang Jian sneered. The divine sun glanced at him coldly, but he did not say anything. Strength spoke louder than words. He could not ignore Wang Jian's strength. The others looked pale. It was difficult for them to fight against Wang Jian and the divine sun. Everyone, the sacred realm dragon corpse is extremely rare. Since we have seen it, how can we not get a share? How about we join forces? The LV9 Martial Royal Realm Elder said. Okay, I agree. I agree too. The others said one after another. The figures of more than 10 experts flashed and gathered together, standing on equal footing with the divine sun and Wang Jian. You are just a mob. Don't overestimate yourselves. The divine sun said coldly and stepped toward the true dragon corpse. He wanted to keep the divine dragon corpse. As long as he kept the true dragon corpse, no one could compete with him. Clang. Wang Jian also moved. How could he let the divine sun monopolize it? Attack. The other experts moved as well. There were 13 of them in total. 3 of them were LV9 Martial Royal Realm experts. The rest were LV7 and LV8 Martial Royal Realm experts. Even a sage-to-be expert could not ignore them when they gathered together. The 3 parties pounced toward the true dragon at the same time. Lu Ming and the other 2 stood at the side of the hall and watched coldly. With their strength, they could not interfere at all. The divine sun and the others ignored them. Get lost! Get lost! The divine sun shouted. Sacred light condensed into a divine saber, and slashed out a dozen times at Wang Jian and the other experts. Clang! Sword radiance burst out and clashed with the divine saber. The space was filled with the sound of sword chi and saber radiance. The other experts also tried their best to resist the saber radiance. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the deity grabbed the true dragon's corpse with his hand, intending to put it into his storage ring. Don't even think about it. At the same time, Wang Jian also grabbed out a big hand and collided with the godchild's big hand. It's ours. The dozen or so people strode forward and grabbed at the dragon corpse. Roar! At this moment, an earth-shattering dragon roar erupted from the dragon pavilion, forming a terrifying sound wave that swept out in all directions. The divine sun and Wang Jian's expressions changed slightly. They each unleashed a blade light and a sword chi to break through the sound wave. Apart from the 2 ninth-layer martial dominators who managed to resist the sound wave, the rest were knocked backward. Some of them even vomited blood. Lu Ming and the other 2 also did their best to resist. However, they were relatively far away, so the power of the sound wave was greatly reduced, and they were able to block it with relative ease. What happened? Everyone at the scene was greatly shocked. A dragon's roar came from the dragon coffin. Could it be that this true dragon was still alive? Roar! Then another dragon roar sounded, and it also came from the dragon coffin. Bang! Bang! Next, a series of banging sounds could be heard from within the dragon coffin. The black dragon actually stood up and roared. It looked around, its huge eyes shining with a ferocious light. How can this be? The Saint True Dragon is still alive? No, the Saint True Dragon is dead. This is just the immortal mark of the Saint True Dragon. Many people spoke out. The last voice shocked everyone. They sensed carefully and found that there was no sign of life in this true dragon. It had indeed been dead for many years. The reason why the true dragon could move was because of the immortal mark. It's already dead. What's the use of resisting? Today it's destined to be mine. The divine sun said coldly. The sacred light on his body became even brighter. He grasped the void with one hand, and a long spear appeared in his hand. Many people were shocked. This was the divine retribution spear, the divine retribution spear. Kill. The divine sun shouted. The divine retribution spear pierced through the void and stabbed toward the true dragon's corpse. As long as the divine retribution spear destroyed the immortal mark of the Saint True Dragon, the Saint True Dragon would be completely dead. Roar. The black true dragon roared and clawed out. Boom. The dragon claw collided with the divine sun's divine retribution spear, causing a violent roar. The black true dragon's body trembled, and the divine sun took 2 steps back. After all, the Saint True Dragon had been dead for many years. The immortal mark left behind could not possibly have the combat strength it had when it was alive. On the other side, sword light flashed and Wang Jian appeared. The black true dragon swung its tail and blocked Wang Jian's sword light. Then the dragon's horns glowed. 2 beams of black light burst out and slashed toward the divine sun and Wang Jian. The divine sun's divine retribution spear struck again and destroyed the black light. On the other side, Wang Jian also destroyed the true dragon's black light. You've been dead for many years, and you still want to resist. Today I'll make you disappear completely, the divine sun said. His glabella glowed, and a small pagoda flew out. It was a small white jade pagoda. As soon as it flew out, it rapidly expanded and emitted a milky white sacred light. Its aura was shocking. A sacred weapon. Someone whispered. Boom. The divine sun used a sacred weapon. With his cultivation, controlling a sacred weapon was shockingly powerful. The white jade pagoda pressed down on the black true dragon. Roar. The black true dragon roared, and its dragon claws slammed into the white jade pagoda, causing a violent roar. Boom. The white jade pagoda shook, but the true dragon's corpse was also shaken and retreated. Then the white jade pagoda slammed down again. Although the true dragon roared again and again, it was still suppressed. Roar. The black true dragon roared and abandoned the divine sun. Its body twisted, and it rushed toward the top of the hall. It wanted to escape. Today you can't escape. The divine sun waved his hand, and an inscription talisman scroll appeared. The inscription talisman scroll opened, and dense inscriptions shone. Buzz. A large array appeared and suppressed the void. What a wonderful inscription talisman scroll. It can actually seal the void. Next to the hall, Lu Ming's eyes narrowed. The inscription talisman scroll of the divine sun was very wonderful. It could seal the void and imprison it. In this way, the black true dragon would not be able to escape. Divine Sun, you're really generous. You're even willing to take out an ancient inscription talisman scroll, like the god's forbidden void. Wang Jian said. Humph. The divine sun snorted. He took a step forward and appeared above the black true dragon. The white jade pagoda pressed down again, and completely obliterated the black true dragon's mark. Bubbles. At this time, no one noticed that Lu Ming had sent a voice transmission to Bubbles, who was on his shoulder. Then Bubbles opened its mouth and waved its little claws forward. Crack, crack. Chapter 15:13. The inscription talisman of the god's forbidden void had failed. Since the void imprisonment failed, the inscription talisman burned and turned into ashes. Inscription talismans were usually one-time use items. Roar. After the void imprisonment failed, the black real dragon let out a long roar. Its dragon power was vast and mighty, and its entire body emitted a black light. Boom. The black real dragon struck out with its dragon claws and heavily bombarded the white jade pagoda, causing it to fly out. Then, the black real dragon let out a long roar and soared into the sky. It smashed a hole in the ceiling of the hall and flew out. Whoosh! Gravel flew everywhere, and a huge hole appeared above the dragon palace. The black real dragon wanted to break through the sky and fly out. Who is it? The deity roared and looked around, emitting an extremely cold murderous intent. Just now, someone had secretly broken his god's forbidden void, allowing the black real dragon to escape. A great opportunity had been destroyed, and he had lost an ancient god's forbidden void inscription talisman. This made the deity's murderous intent extremely intense. No one made a sound. Swoosh. A sword light flashed, and the king's sword soared into the sky and chased after the black real dragon. The deity roared and also soared into the sky, chasing after the black real dragon. Let's go and take a look. That's right, we should at least get a share. The other experts soared into the sky and rushed toward the hole in the ceiling. Above them, light scattered. The black real dragon had directly pierced through the roof of the dragon palace and rushed out of the dragon palace. Is that a real dragon? No, a real dragon's corpse? Let's go and take a look. Lu Ming and the rest could still hear the voices coming from outside. Obviously, those who couldn't enter the dragon palace exclaimed when they saw the black real dragon fly out. Roar. Boom. Then, a dragon's roar resounded. Obviously, the black real dragon had been caught, and a huge battle broke out between it and the deity and the rest. Chirp chirp. Bubbles chirped on Lu Ming's shoulder. Lu Ming smiled. Just now, it was Lu Ming who had let Bubbles destroy the deity's forbidden void. Bubbles was a space-time spirit mouse and could control time and space. It could secretly destroy space without anyone noticing. What should we do? Are you going out to watch the show? Tian Shui spoke, feeling a little depressed. In this trip to the Dragon Palace, they didn't get anything except some refining materials. As for the true dragon corpse, they could only look at it and not fight for it. How could they not feel depressed? True dragons usually like to build a hidden treasury. I reckon that it hasn't been discovered yet, Xuaningxin said. Treasure vault? Tian Shui's eyes lit up. Xuaningxin was a real dragon. She knew the habits of real dragons very well. Xuaningxin nodded and said, "That's right. Besides, the treasury is very well hidden. It's probably not far away from the true dragon's corpse. If it's not far away, then it's very likely that it's in this hall." Lu Ming said. "That's right." Shui Xian nodded. "Then let's hurry up and find them. When those guys come back, we'll have nothing to do with them," Tian Shui said. Then he rushed out and looked around to see if there were any hidden doors. Lu Ming and Xuaningxin also looked around. However, no matter how many people looked around the hall, they didn't find anything. Could it be under the dragon coffin? At this moment, Lu Ming looked at the dragon coffin. Xuaningxin's eyes lit up and said, "That's possible. If it was under the dragon coffin, wouldn't it be the closest to the black true dragon?" "Haha, hurry up." Tian Shui rushed over and pressed his palms on the dragon coffin. His muscles bulged as he pushed with great force. Rumble. The huge dragon coffin was pushed up by Tian Shui. Lu Ming and Xuaningxin also went over to help. The three of them worked together to move the dragon coffin. There's a door indeed. When the dragon coffin was moved, their eyes lit up. There was obviously a door under the dragon coffin. They could see that the true dragon's treasury was probably below. Break this door. A huge hammer appeared in Tian Shui's hand. Wait a minute. Lu Ming called out. Then his glabella lit up. Dense inscriptions appeared in the void, forming a large formation. This formation could isolate sound. This was the inscription of the second body. It was inscribing the formation through Lu Ming. Junior brother is still the most thoughtful. Tian Shui grinned, picked up the huge hammer, and smashed it heavily on the door on the ground. Boom. The huge hammer smashed down, and there was a loud explosion. If not for the soundproof formation, it would definitely alarm the people outside. However, when the huge hammer smashed down, the door on the ground was completely fine, only leaving a faint mark. It's so hard. I don't believe it. Again. Tian Shui continued to pick up the huge hammer and smashed it down again. However, it was useless. It did not budge. Tian Shui smashed it 7 or 8 times in a row, but the result was the same. "No, I can't open it at all," Tian Shui said helplessly. "This door can only be opened with a special method. Brute force is useless." Lu Ming observed carefully. "I've heard that some true dragons will use their own blood as a key to seal the door of the treasure vault. Try my blood." Xuaningxin thought for a while and said. Then Xuaningxin waved her hand and cut a wound on her arm. Sparkling blood dripped onto the ground. Rumble. The ground suddenly shook, and there was a rumbling sound. Then, the door on the ground opened to both sides, revealing an underground secret chamber. As soon as the door opened, a bright light spread out from below. It's open. Let's go down. The three of them flew down with shining eyes. Below them was a secret chamber. As soon as they went down, the three of them were stunned. Treasures. They were all treasures. At a glance, they were all treasures piled up like mountains. There were all kinds of shiny refining materials. Some were for refining spiritual weapons, and some were for refining sacred weapons. However, they all had one thing in common, which was that they were shining brightly. There were also all kinds of spiritual weapons. Lu Ming looked around and found that there were spiritual weapons of all levels. There were even low-level spiritual weapons. Each of them was shining brightly. Some of the spiritual treasures were even embedded with gems. He even saw piles of night pearl. Of course, there were also piles of origin stones. However, Lu Ming's gaze was fixed on the dozen balls of light floating in the air. Sacred weapons. More than a dozen balls of light, all of them sacred weapons. More than a dozen sacred weapons. Lu Ming's heart raced. Let's put them away quickly, Lu Ming said. If the Divine Sun and the others found out, they would not have a share. Yes, let's put them away quickly. We'll sort them out when we get out, Tian Chui said. Chapter 15-14. In less than a minute, the entire treasury was emptied. Nothing was left. Let's go. After that, the three of them rushed out of the treasury. Without any hesitation, they flew out through the hole created by the true dragon. Boom. Boom. In the outside world, the battle was still ongoing above the Qilong Lake. The deity, Wang Jian, and the others were still besieging the black true dragon's corpse. Roar. The black true dragon's body was emitting a black light, as if a black flame was burning. Its combat strength was even stronger than before. The true dragon's corpse is burning the mark to increase its combat strength. But soon, the mark will disappear, and the true dragon's corpse will have no power to resist. Xuening thought. The three of them flew to the side of the Qilong Lake and watched from afar. The deity controlled the white jade hall like the Son of God. He was bathed in holy light and constantly bombarded the black true dragon. As for Wang Jian, a battle sword floated above his head. It was obviously a sacred weapon. Beams of terrifying sword light slashed at the black true dragon. As for the other experts, they could only watch from afar. They could not interfere at all. Roar. The black true dragon suddenly roared. Two dragon horns flew out from its head and rapidly grew in size. In the end, they turned into two sky-piercing blades and slashed at the deity and Wang Jian. Clang! Clang! The deity's white jade pagoda and Wang Jian's battle sword were sent flying by the dragon horns. The deity and Wang Jian's bodies shook, and they were forced to retreat. Roar! The black true dragon roared angrily. Its body twisted and rushed into the distance. You want to leave? Dream on. The deity roared. He controlled the white jade pagoda and heavily bombarded one of the dragon horns. The dragon horn was sent flying. Its light dimmed and it quickly shrank. The deity rushed over and grabbed the dragon horn in his hand. On the other side, Wang Jian also grabbed a dragon horn in his hand. The two of them put away the dragon horns and turned into beams of light, chasing after the black true dragon. There are dragon scales over there. They're mine. As soon as the deity and Wang Jian left, the rest of the people rioted. In the battle just now, many dragon scales had fallen off the black true dragon. If these dragon scales were refined into defensive armor, they would definitely be rare treasures. The experts below all pounced on the 5 or 6 dragon scales one after another. A chaotic battle broke out at the scene. From time to time, experts would scream miserably as they were killed here. Senior brother, senior sister, let's go, Lu Ming said to Tian Chui and Xueningshin. They had gained a lot on this trip. They had emptied the treasury of a saint-stage true dragon. It could be said that they were the biggest winners. This trip was worth it. There was no point in staying here any longer. All right. Tian Chui took out the sky-piercing flying shuttle, and the three of them entered it. The sky-piercing flying shuttle broke through the air and entered the baleful qi. Not long after Lu Ming and the others left, the deity and Wang Jian returned with cold faces. It was especially so for the divine child, whose body emanated cold killing intent. Clearly their harvest was not good. It was very likely that they had lost the black dragon. Die. The deity's entire body seemed to have turned into a long spear, piercing through the void and charging toward the cultivators who were fighting over the dragon scales. Pucci, a LV9 martial royal realm expert, was pierced by the divine sun and died on the spot. Today none of you will be able to leave, the deity said coldly. The deity's spear of punishment pierced through the void and another expert was killed. Previously, in the Dragon Palace, he had used the inscription scroll of the god's forbidden void to imprison the black dragon. That way, the black dragon would not be able to escape and would be destroyed by him. The deity's mark would be destroyed and the true dragon's corpse would be his. However, at the critical moment, he had been disturbed. Someone had destroyed the inscription scroll of the god's forbidden void, allowing the black dragon to escape. The inscription scroll of the god's forbidden void was an ancient inscription scroll that he had obtained by chance. It was extremely precious. However, if he could obtain the Saint Stage True Dragon's corpse, it would be a great gain. However, he had not obtained the Saint Stage True Dragon's corpse, and the god's forbidden void ancient talisman had been wasted. This made him extremely murderous. Needless to say, the person who had destroyed the inscription scroll was among those who had entered the Dragon Palace. Therefore, the deity had started a massacre. Pucci. One by one the experts were killed by the deity. The deity has gone mad. Run. The remaining experts fled in all directions. Don't even think about leaving, the deity said coldly. The white jade pagoda flew out and became the size of a mountain. The remaining people screamed miserably as their bodies exploded. Their bodies and souls were destroyed. The dozen experts who had entered the Dragon Palace were all killed by the deity in an instant, except for Wang Jian. Where are the 3 ants from the Dragon God Valley? The deity looked around and did not see Lu Ming and the other 2. However, he was not too concerned. He did not think that the 3 of them, who were at most level 5 martial royal realm, would be able to destroy his god's forbidden void ancient talisman. Ho deity, you have suffered a double loss today. Wang Jian sneered not far away. Humph, you'd better shut up. Otherwise I'll kill you too, the deity said coldly. You can give it a try, Wang Jian said with fighting spirit. A fierce light flashed in the deity's eyes. However, he did not attack. Wang Jian's cultivation was at the same level as his, and he was also a peerless genius. It would not be easy for him to kill Wang Jian. The deity harumphed and took a step forward. He rushed into the Dragon Palace through the hole. He wanted to see if there were any treasures left in the Dragon Palace. As soon as he rushed in, his expression changed. He saw the dragon coffin being moved, and the door under it. Empty treasury, damn it, it's the treasury of the true dragon. The deity growled. A sword glow flashed and Wang Jian appeared. He glanced around and said in a cold voice, "It seems like our hard work has been taken advantage of by someone else." Following this, the 2 of them rushed into the treasury. Their bodies emitted a cold murderous intent as they stared at the empty treasury. This time, they had worked so hard, but in the end, they had not obtained anything other than a dragon horn and a few dragon scales. Even the most important treasury of the true dragon had been taken away by someone else. In particular, the deity had lost an ancient talisman. Who is it? The deity roared furiously. His murderous intent was as sharp as a knife. Then he flew out of the treasury and stood on the door of the treasury, carefully examining it. Blood of the true dragon. No wonder it can open the door of the treasury. The deity sensed the blood left behind by Xuanixin on the door. His eyes flickered with a cold light. Blood of the true dragon. It's the dragon from the divine Dragon Valley. It's those 3 ants. How dare they steal the empty treasury under my nose? They must have a death wish. After a while, the deity said in a cold voice. How dare they? Wang Jian said coldly. Then he turned into a sword glow and left the place. Following this, the deity stepped into the air with murderous intent. Chapter 15:15. Lu Ming and the other 2 took the flying shuttle and flew out of the area with the sinister aura very quickly. After flying out of the baleful aura area, the sky hammer changed its direction and flew towards the Tsang Mountains. As the shuttle flew, Lu Ming and the other 2 took out the treasures from the Dragon Palace treasury and began to divide them. First of all, there was a large pile of refining materials. There were all kinds of refining materials, both low-grade and high-grade. Xuanixin specifically picked the shiny refining materials. Lu Ming and Tian Shui were casual. After Xuanixin was done picking, the two of them divided the materials casually and kept them. It was the same for Xuanixin. She specially picked out the shiny and beautiful spirit weapons. As for those night-luminescent pearls, jade, and other gemstones that were useless to Lu Ming and Tian Shui, Xuanixin's eyes lit up. Lu Ming and Tian Shui were speechless. Finally, there were the holy weapons. There were a total of 13 holy weapons floating in the shuttle, emitting mysterious waves. The 13 sacred weapons were all bright sacred weapons. After all, a great saint weapon was too rare. In the Tsang province, it was an extremely rare item. There are 13 holy weapons in total. We each get 4, and the last one goes to 8th senior sister. This time, if it weren't for her, we wouldn't have been able to open the door of the treasury. 7th senior brother, what do you think? Lu Ming said. Of course. Skyhammer grinned. If I get one more, how can I accept it? Xuanixin said. But her eyes were already fixed on a long sword. This long sword was inlaid with 7 different colored gems. It was very beautiful. Lu Ming smiled and said, Senior sister, you pick first. I want this sword. As soon as Lu Ming finished speaking, Xuanixin grabbed the sword in her hand and couldn't bear to let it go. You guys pick. This sword is enough for me. The rest is up to you, Xuanixin said. Then this hammer is mine. Tian Shui had his eyes on a purple gold hammer. He grabbed it in his hand and was quite satisfied. The handle of this hammer is too short. Looks like I'll have to find an inscriber to refine it. Tian Shui waved the big hammer a few times and was very happy. Lu Ming reached out and grabbed a spear in his hand. This long spear was completely black, and there was a black dragon coiling around it. It looked very mysterious and domineering. I've finally gotten a saint weapon spear. Lu Ming broke into a smile. If he used the saint weapon spear, the power of the 13 strikes would definitely be even stronger. Unfortunately, there was no glove-type saint weapon among the 13. Now that the 3 had obtained holy weapons, they were very happy. Then, they casually chose the remaining holy weapons. Lu Ming picked 3 more, and so did Tian Shui. Xuanixin kept the remaining 4. This trip could be said to be a bountiful harvest. Putting everything else aside, just a single saint artifact was worth 1,000,000 contribution points. How many treasures could he exchange for with that amount of contribution points? As for Nirvana pills, he could probably exchange for a bunch of them. This spear shall be called the Black Dragon Spear. It'll last me for a while. I wonder when the Infinite Dragon Spear will be upgraded to a saint weapon. Lu Ming muttered to himself. At this moment, Ming Lian's second body came out of the mountain river diagram with the Infinite Dragon Spear floating in his hand. Pieces of precious refining materials were wrapped in golden spiritual fire, and slowly merged into the Infinite Dragon Spear. Right now, Lu Ming had a lot of precious refining materials in his hands. As long as he continued to integrate precious metal materials into the Infinite Dragon Spear, it would level up. When he was not refining his second body, he would refine the Infinite Dragon Spear. I'll refine this Black Dragon Spear while I'm on the road. Lu Ming held the Infinite Dragon Spear and was about to input his ethereal force. Buzz. At this moment, the Black Dragon Spear vibrated slightly. Buzz. Buzz. Then the Black Dragon Spear vibrated more and more violently. The body of the spear glowed, and the black dragon coiling around it seemed to come alive. What's going on? Xuanixin and Tian Shui both looked over curiously. I don't know. The spear suddenly vibrated on its own. Lu Ming said. Buzz. The Black Dragon Spear vibrated and floated in the air. The tip of the spear automatically pointed in a direction. The tip of the spear is pointing in a direction. What's going on? Is there something in that direction that's attracting the Black Dragon Spear? Lu Ming guessed. As the sky-piercing flying shuttle flew forward, the tip of the Black Dragon Spear also turned slightly, but it always pointed in one direction. There was definitely something in that direction that was attracting the Black Dragon Spear. Junior brother, let's go and take a look. Xuanningsin said. Okay, but we can't take the sky-piercing flying shuttle. Lu Ming said. The Black Dragon Spear belonged to the Black Dragon of the Dragon Palace. The Black Dragon Spear's abnormality might have something to do with the Black Dragon. However, they had seen the Divine Sun and Wang Jian chasing after the Black Dragon. If the Divine Sun and Wang Jian were in front of them, they had to be careful. The three of them got off the sky-piercing flying shuttle. Tian Shui put away the sky-piercing flying shuttle. The three of them concealed their auras and flew forward according to the Black Dragon Spear's instructions. The more they flew, the more the Black Dragon Spear buzzed. Soon, they flew into a mountain range. That's the body of the saint-level Black Dragon. Xuanningsin exclaimed. Lu Ming and Tian Shui looked in the same direction at the same time. In a mountain valley, a huge black dragon was lying there quietly. It did not emit any aura, and did not move at all. The body of the saint-level Black Dragon escaped. The Divine Sun and the others didn't catch it. Xuanningsin's eyes lit up. The mark on its body has completely disappeared. Lu Ming sensed and said. After the battle with the Divine Sun and the others, the immortal mark on the Black Dragon's body had disappeared. It was now a real dragon corpse. The three of them flew down the valley. Lu Ming and Tian Shui looked at each other with burning flames in their eyes. Eighth junior sister this. Tian Shui hesitated, not knowing what to say. The dragon's corpse was priceless, but Xuanningsin was a real dragon, just like the Black Dragon. If they touched the dragon's corpse, what would Xuanningsin think? Therefore Lu Ming and Tian Shui were hesitant. Are you worried about me? You don't have to. Cultivation, whether for humans or monsters, is about plundering. Plundering the chi of heaven and earth. Plundering the heaven and earth. Plundering other people, even if they're of the same race. Besides, this is a black dragon, which is not of the same race as me. Xuanningsin said. Then, a sacred weapon appeared in Xuanningsin's hand. She stabbed the dragon head and dug out a crystal from the dragon head. Dragon crystals were formed when true dragons entered the saint level, just like the saint heart of a human martial artist. This dragon crystal is mine. It'll be of great help to my cultivation. Xuanningsin said. Okay, haha, junior brother, what do you need? Tian Shui asked Lu Ming. I just need some dragon bones. Lu Ming said. Dragon bones from a true dragon were second only to true dragon blood essence for Lu Ming to cultivate the dragon god battle body. Chapter 15-16. Alright then. Junior brother, the dragon bones are yours and the dragon meat is mine. I have the barbarian dragon battle body, and I can slowly raise the level of my spirit body by devouring its flesh and blood. Tian Shui grinned. It can raise the level of my spirit body? Lu Ming's heart stirred and he was secretly shocked. This seventh senior brother was really something. Of course, he didn't think that Tian Shui was talking about increasing the level of his spirit body. It was most likely an increase in the quality of his spirit body. His dragon god battle body was condensed from the 9 dragons bloodline. Refining dragon bones and dragon blood could raise the level of his dragon body. He didn't expect that Tian Shui could do the same. It seemed that he wasn't the only one who had a strange physique that could raise the level of his spirit body. He just didn't know if Tian Shui's speed of improvement was as fast as his. Immediately, Lu Ming and Tian Shui separated the black dragon's flesh and bones. Tian Shui kept the true dragon's flesh while Lu Ming kept the dragon bones. As for the dragon skin and dragon scales, they were rare treasures that could be refined into leather armor and battle armor. The three of them divided it equally. 8th junior sister, 9th junior brother, let's find a place to cultivate. Tian Shui was eager to try. Okay. Lu Ming nodded. He had the same intention. Xuanningsin also had the same idea. The three of them rose into the air and left. Soon, the three of them arrived at a huge mountain range a million miles away. They each opened a cave abode in the mountain range, and entered it to cultivate. After Lu Ming entered the cave abode, he entered the mountain river diagram, and took out the dragon bones. The dragon bones were extremely heavy. However, because this true dragon had been dead for many years, it had lost a lot of its spiritual essence. In total, it was still many times more precious than the dragon bones that Lu Ming bought in the Dragon God Valley. Devour. A powerful devouring force erupted from Lu Ming's body. The devouring force shrouded the entire dragon bone. Lu Ming continuously devoured and absorbed the essence of the true dragon's spirituality from the dragon bone and integrated it into his body. It transformed his body, causing his dragon body to transform and become stronger. This cultivation lasted for half a month. In half a month, Lu Ming had completely refined the dragon bones, leaving only a few impurities, which were reduced to ashes and scattered across the mountain and river diagram. Roar! Lu Ming's body seemed to be nurturing 9 dragons. At this moment, a dragon's roar resounded. Following that, 9 illusory dragons rushed out from Lu Ming's body, emitting a powerful pressure. Lu Ming's muscles wriggled slightly before calming down. His body was pure and holy, filled with power. Superior Earth spiritual body. Lu Ming's eyes flashed with a bright light. Although this dragon bone had been dead for many years and had lost a great deal of its spiritual essence, it was still too complete. The added energy allowed Lu Ming's spirit body to complete its transformation and evolve into a superior Earth spirit body. What a powerful force! Lu Ming felt that his entire body was brimming with power. His every move was earth-shattering. It's much more powerful than a mid-tier Earth spirit body. Lu Ming waved his palm casually. There was a roar in the void, followed by a terrifying sonic boom. Although his cultivation was still at the 3rd layer martial dominator realm, his strength was significantly stronger than before. No wonder a superior Earth spirit body was considered one of the best in the Tsang continent. Only a few people possessed a superior Earth spirit body in the vast Tsang continent. Each of them was a terrifying genius. It was said that the top 10 geniuses of the Tsang continent all possessed superior Earth spirit bodies. I wonder if 7th senior brother and 8th senior sister are done with their cultivation? With a thought, Lu Ming exited the mountain and river diagram and flew out of the cave. He sensed that Tian Shui and Xuanixin were still cultivating. Lu Ming returned to the cave abode again. This time, Lu Ming did not enter the mountain-river diagram. Instead, he cultivated in the cave abode that he opened up temporarily. Lu Ming took out a pile of origin stones and prepared to refine them to improve his cultivation. His chaotic domain was about to reach the peak of LV4, so his cultivation would naturally improve. 5 days passed in the blink of an eye after refining a large pile of origin stones. For the past 5 days, Lu Ming did not stop at all. He devoured and refined primordial stones like crazy. Even he did not know how many primordial stones he had devoured and refined. Boom! A powerful aura burst out from Lu Ming's body. This was the aura of a 4th layer martial dominator realm. Lu Ming had finally broken through the 4th layer martial dominator realm and entered the middle tier martial dominator realm. After entering the 4th layer martial dominator realm, Lu Ming's combat strength had undoubtedly increased again. At this moment, Lu Ming's combat strength was at least several times stronger than when he was in the Dragon Palace. At this moment, Lu Ming also felt 2 extremely powerful fluctuations nearby. After a while it became quiet. Senior brother Tian Shui and senior sister Shui have also broken through. Lu Ming's heart stirred, and he dashed out of the cave abode. Whoosh! Whoosh! As soon as Lu Ming came out, Tian Shui and Xuanixin also rushed out with shocking auras. Senior brother, senior sister, have you 2 broken through? Lu Ming said with a smile. Haha, I've eaten a huge amount of true dragon meat. I did not expect my cultivation to break through to the 6th layer martial dominator realm. Tian Shui burst out laughing. However, Lu Ming sensed for a while and discovered that Tian Shui's spirit body had indeed improved. However, it was not very significant and could not be compared to his improvement. This was not surprising, as his spiritual body was refined from the bloodline of the 9 dragons. His dragon god battle flesh was rarely comparable to it. It was already shocking that Tian Shui's spiritual body was able to improve slowly. I've refined the dragon crystal, and my cultivation has also improved to the 6th layer martial dominator realm. Xuanixin said. This time, the trio had benefited greatly, allowing their strength to skyrocket. Tian Shui and Xuanixin already possessed outstanding strength. Now that they had broken through to the 6th layer martial dominator realm, their strength was even more terrifying. We'll cultivate in seclusion here for 20 days. There's only a month left until the treasure pedestal. Let's hurry to the Tsang Mountain. Xuanixin said. Let's go. Tian Shui took out the sky-piercing shuttle. The trio entered the shuttle and flew toward the Tsang Mountain at a rapid pace. 7 days later, they finally arrived at the Tsang Mountain. They had not been idle during this period, as they had refined the sacred weapons they had found. In front of him, a majestic mountain appeared before his eyes. The trio exited the shuttle and gazed into the distance. The Tsang Mountain was too magnificent. It stood between the heavens and earth, with its peak piercing through the clouds like a pillar of the world. Given Lu Ming and the rest's current cultivation, as long as there were no obstacles blocking their line of sight, they would be able to see the scenery tens of thousands of miles away clearly. However, at a glance, they could not see the edge of the Tsang Mountain at all. This showed how huge the Tsang Mountain was. The trio flew toward the Tsang Mountain. Bang! Suddenly, a loud explosion could be heard in front of them. Following this, they saw two figures colliding with one another as a saber glow was slashed forward. Following a cry of agony, a figure was slashed in half, causing blood to splatter everywhere. A young man carrying a saber on his back appeared and absorbed the storage ring of the slain cultivator with his chi. He then glanced at Lu Ming and the others before leaving the place. The people of the intentionless saber sect. Chapter 15-17. Looks like Tsang Mountain isn't peaceful, Lu Ming said. Indeed. The treasure-ranking assembly of the Tsang province is held once every 3 years. Countless geniuses from the 13 top sects of the Tsang province will gather at Tsang Mountain. Some of the 13 top sects have grudges against each other, and fights often break out. Now that they are gathering at Tsang Mountain, it's normal for fights to break out because of a disagreement. Xuanixin explained. Xuanixin had been to Tsang Mountain 3 years ago, so she knew more about it. Tsang Mountain is the place where Emperor Tsang proved his Tao and became a great emperor. Therefore, many strong cultivators, including supreme saints and absolute saints, have come to pay homage to the place where Emperor Tsang proved his Tao. Therefore, there are many heavenly path marks left by strong cultivators in Tsang Mountain, which usually attracts many people. Let's go take a look, Xuanixin said. There's such a place? Of course we'll go. Tian Shui looked expectant. Then Xuanixin led the way, and the three of them flew to the east of Tsang Mountain. The closer they got to Tsang Mountain, the more extraordinary they felt it was. It was as if there was a powerful aura here, as if a sovereign was hibernating here. They couldn't help feeling reverence for it. Along the way, they could see that there were many buildings in Tsang Mountain. Although there weren't any top sects in Tsang Mountain, there were still some small forces here. Soon, the three of them landed on a small path. There's a valley ahead, and there's a palm print left by a great saint senior. It's very mysterious. I came here 3 years ago to study it, and I learned a lot, Xuanixin said, and took the lead to walk forward. After walking for a while, they saw the entrance of a valley, but there were 2 young men guarding it. Stop. You're not allowed to pass. The 2 young men stretched out their hands to block their way, and one of them said coldly. What do you mean? Xuanixin's eyes turned cold. This place has been reserved by the Celestial God sect. You can go somewhere else. One of the young men sneered. Reserved by the Celestial God sect? Ridiculous. This place belongs to the world, and anyone can come here. How come I didn't know it became the territory of the Celestial God sect? Xuanixin sneered. I said it's reserved, so it's reserved. Get out of here. A young man from the Heavenly Divinity sect berated in an overbearing manner. The Heavenly God sect is really domineering. Tian Shui's eyes flickered with a ferocious glint. If it weren't for the fact that he could sense that there were many powerful auras in the canyon, he would have already made his move. Let's go somewhere else. Xuanixin's eyes flashed with killing intent, but in the end she pulled Skyhammer and Lu Ming and left. Stop. Don't let them go. At this moment, a cold roar could be heard coming from the canyon. Stop. The 2 young men guarding the door appeared in front of Lu Ming's group with a flicker, blocking their path. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In the canyon, A piercing sound could be heard as 5 young men rushed out and surrounded Lu Ming and his crew. Shirtian. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes. Among the 5 people that rushed out, one of them was Shirtian, the young leader of the celestial divine sect that had entered the great emperor mystic realm. Haha, Lu Ming, it's you indeed. Shirtian burst out laughing while staring at Lu Ming with an icy expression. A murderous intent was emitted from his body. Lu Ming, you've killed so many disciples of the heavenly divinity sect in the Kangwu mystical ground. You won't be able to leave here alive today. A powerful aura was emitted from Shirtian's body, locking onto Lu Ming's figure. Previously at the Kangwu mystical ground, before the ground had collapsed, Lu Ming had killed many disciples of the heavenly divinity sect, causing Shirtian to hate Lu Ming to the core. Junior brother Shirtian, there's no need for you to kill him. I'll kill him for you, a young man beside Shirtian said. No need, I'll kill him myself. Shirtian waved his hand and stepped forward. Bang. His aura skyrocketed, which finally stopped after reaching the 4th layer martial dominator realm. Shirtian had found a succession in the Kangwu mystical ground. After he had returned, he had received the attention of the heavenly divinity sect. In addition to his outstanding talent, his cultivation had improved tremendously, ranking up to the 4th layer martial dominator realm. With the succession, his strength was even more terrifying. This time, he was confident that he would be able to kill Lu Ming to avenge his humiliation. Lu Ming die. A sacred glow burst out from Shirtian's body as a godly retribution spear was formed, piercing through the air like a white lightning with a sharp aura, stabbing in Lu Ming's direction. If it were an ordinary 4th layer martial dominator, or even an ordinary 5th layer martial dominator, they would be killed by the attack. However, Lu Ming was no ordinary cultivator. In an instant, the godly retribution spear was about to reach Lu Ming. At that moment, Lu Ming reached out his hand and grabbed the godly retribution spear. The godly retribution spear stopped in front of Lu Ming, unable to move any further. Kill him. Shirtian yelled as his true force and domain surged into the godly retribution spear. However, it was as if the godly retribution spear was frozen in place, unable to move. Shirtian widened his eyes as blue veins popped out on his face. He unleashed his full strength, but Lu Ming's hand was like a boulder. No matter how hard he yelled, it was useless. How is this possible? Shirtian yelled in his heart. He could not believe it. Is this all you've got? Lu Ming said coldly. His muscles shuddered as a dragon's roar was heard, and he clenched his fist. Bang! The godly retribution spear that Shirtian had formed shattered into pieces. Bang! Following this, Lu Ming clenched his fist and threw a punch at Shirtian. Shirtian instinctively raised his hands in front of him. Bang! Lu Ming's punch landed on Shirtian's arms, causing them to explode. Shirtian let out a cry of agony as his body was sent flying while he spat out mouthfuls of blood. Although they were both 4th layer martial royal realm cultivators, Shirtian was unable to fight back against Lu Ming. He was easily defeated. Kill, let's attack together and kill them. Shirtian yelled as his spiritual body glowed as he tried to repair his broken arms. Die. Kill. The other young men of the heavenly god sect yelled furiously as their auras burst out. Sacred light filled the air as terrifying attacks were launched at Lu Ming. Among them, 2 of the 6th layer martial royal realm cultivators were aiming at Lu Ming. Kill. Lu Ming yelled as he executed the holy sword technique. The 2 5th layer martial royal realm cultivators' souls shuddered as their true force became chaotic. Bang! Bang! Lu Ming stepped forward and threw out 2 blows. The 2 5th layer martial royal realm cultivators were instantly killed by Lu Ming. Let's kill you sons of bitches. On the other side, Tian Shui and Xuanixin attacked too. The strongest among them was only a 6th layer martial royal realm cultivator. Thus they were no match against Tian Shui and Xuanixin. 2 of them were killed by Tian Shui's hammer, while the other 2 were killed by Xuanixin's fists. Chapter 15:18. Shirtian's face instantly turned pale. How dare you? Shirtian roared. I'll kill you now. Lu Ming stepped forward and charged at Shirtian. Shirtian retreated frantically and yelled, Senior brother, help. How dare you kill a disciple of the celestial god sect? Die. Just then, a cold murderous intent rushed out from the canyon. A huge palm print formed by Saint Light blasted toward Lu Ming. This palm was extremely terrifying. Lu Ming had a feeling that if he were to be hit by this palm, he might be blasted to death. Leave it to me. I'll do it. Tian Shui and Xuaningxin rushed out at the same time. Tian Shui swung the giant hammer in his hand. His muscles bulged like a dragon as he smashed the hammer toward the palm print. Roar. Xuaningxin let out a dragon's roar and a cold aura spread out from her body. Her delicate fists seemed to have turned into ice as she threw out 2 punches. Tian Shui and Xuaningxin's attacks collided with the palm print at the same time. Boom. Boom. After 2 loud explosions, Tian Shui and Xuaningxin were sent flying with a muffled groan. However, the palm print had also been greatly weakened. It continued to blast toward Lu Ming. Lu Ming's glabella glowed and a shield appeared. It flew forward and blocked the palm print. At the same time, a long spear formed in Lu Ming's hand. He swung the long spear, and it pierced toward Shi Tian like a bolt of lightning. This move was shockingly fast. It pierced through Shi Tian's defense and pierced through his dantian, nailing him to the ground. I hate. Shi Tian roared. He was filled with unwillingness, but in the next moment he lost all signs of life. He was killed by Lu Ming. Boom. That palm print struck the shield, and it was sent flying. It shrank rapidly and flew into Lu Ming's glabella before disappearing. However, this shield was a sacred weapon and it successfully blocked the other party's attack. You're courting death. A terrifying aura burst out from the canyon. A roar was heard and a terrifying aura rushed out of the canyon. Not good, run. Lu Ming roared and soared into the sky. At the same time, Tian Shui and Xuaningxin also flew into the distance. Whoosh! A young man rushed out of the canyon, his body emitting a shocking killing intent. He stared at Lu Ming's group and roared. You want to escape after killing my heavenly god sex disciples? Kill! The young man turned into a beam of holy light and chased after Lu Ming and the others at an astonishing speed. So fast. Lu Ming was startled. The other party's speed was too fast. He was closing in on them at an extremely fast speed. Whoosh! His opponent waved his hand and slashed out a beam of holy light. The holy light streaked across the void, heading straight for Lu Ming. At the last moment, Lu Ming killed Shi Tian, which made the other party target Lu Ming. Shi Tian was a rare genius in the heavenly divinity sect. In the Tsangdi secret realm, he had obtained the inheritance and was heavily nurtured. But now he was killed by Lu Ming. Junior brother, be careful. Tian Shui yelled. The holy light was too fast, and it instantly closed in on Lu Ming. Whoosh! Black wings extended from Lu Ming's back and protected Lu Ming's body. Clang! The holy light hit the black wings, causing them to vibrate violently. Lu Ming's body was sent flying like a cannonball. So powerful. Lu Ming felt his qi and blood surging, and blood flowed out of his mouth. Even with the protection of the black wings, he still vomited blood. This showed how powerful the other party's attack was. 9th layer martial royal realm. Moreover, the other party was a peerless genius with shocking combat strength. Junior brother, how are you? Xuaningxin asked with concern. I'm fine. If this goes on, he will catch up to us sooner or later. Senior brother, senior sister, relax and don't resist. Lu Ming shouted. Okay. Tian Shui and Xuaningxin nodded subconsciously. Lu Ming waved his hand, and the mountain and river diagram appeared. He put Tian Shui and Xuaningxin into the mountain and river diagram. Then he used the wind origin technique and flapped his black wings. His body shot forward like a black lightning bolt, and his speed was no slower than the heavenly god sex peerless genius. The heavenly god sex peerless genius's face changed, and the killing intent on his face intensified. He stared at Lu Ming, and the holy light on his body burned like a white flame. He sped up and chased closely behind Lu Ming. Who is that? What a shocking fluctuation. That's the peerless genius of the heavenly god sect, Shi Guan. Who is the one running in front? Why is Shi Guan chasing after him? That person is not ordinary either. That pair of wings is a sacred weapon. The two of them, one running and one chasing, attracted the attention of others. It's that guy Lu Ming. A few black-robed youths in front of Lu Ming heard the commotion and looked over. When one of them saw Lu Ming, his eyes flashed with killing intent. These people were the disciples of the Sky Universe Demon Sect. The one who spoke was Emohi. Shi Guan is chasing after him. Let's stop Lu Ming, Emohi said coldly. He unsheathed his demonic saber, and a saber light slashed towards Lu Ming. Lu Ming, who was flying, narrowed his eyes, and used his black wings to block in front of him. Bang! The demonic saber slashed at the black wings. Lu Ming's body shook, and he was stopped. Lu Ming, let's see how you will die today. Emohi's eyes were cold as he stood in front of Lu Ming. Demonic chi filled the sky. Back then, he had been ordered to kill Lu Ming. In the end, not only had he failed to kill Lu Ming, but the 5 LV7 Martial Royal Realm experts who had followed him had all died. Even he had been tricked by Lu Ming. One of his arms had been cut off, and he had even lost his storage ring. During this period, he had been thinking about revenge all the time. He had not expected to meet Lu Ming here. Moreover, Lu Ming was being chased by the Heavenly God Sect's experts. Of course, he would not hesitate to attack. Emohi, I will kill you sooner or later, Lu Ming said coldly. His body flickered, and he was about to rush to the other side. Stay, Emohi shouted coldly, and his demonic saber slashed out 10 saber lights. Emohi's arm, which had been cut off by Lu Ming, had grown back. His cultivation had reached the peak of the LV6 Martial Royal Realm. Emohi had a superior earthly spiritual body, and his combat strength was shocking. Lu Ming did not meet Emohi's attack head-on. His black wings slashed out like a heavenly saber, breaking through Emohi's saber lights. Stay. The 2 Sky Universe Demon Sect disciples who had followed Emohi unsheathed their demonic sabers and charged at Lu Ming. These 2 youths were at the peak of the LV5 Martial Royal Realm, and their combat strength was not weak. At the same time, the stone crown behind them was closing in. Kill! Lu Ming hollered. 2 beams of black light flashed in his eyes, and dashed toward the 2 disciples of the Heavenly Universe Demon Sect. Their bodies shook. At this time, Lu Ming waved his hand, and the black dragon spear appeared. It turned into 2 spear lights and stabbed at the 2 Sky Universe Demon Sect disciples. The spear lights contained the 13-strike technique. 10 streaks of energy burst out and pierced through the 2 Sky Universe Demon Sect disciples' attacks and defenses. Puff. Puff. The 2 Sky Universe Demon Sect disciples died. Chapter 15:19. Shi Guan's Spear of Divine Punishment was extremely powerful, as if it could pierce through everything in the world. Lu Ming's hair stood on end. The sense of danger Shi Guan gave him was too strong. Block it. Lu Ming's mind stirred and the sacred weapon shield flew out again, blocking in front of him. At the same time, he continued to fly forward. Stay here. Emohi roared, his anger soaring to the sky. He didn't expect that after intercepting Lu Ming, he would be able to kill 2 Sky Universe Demon Sect disciples. His killing intent towards Lu Ming was even stronger. The demonic saber exploded and slashed towards Lu Ming. You're courting death. A cold light flashed in Lu Ming's eyes, and the black wings covered his body. Boom. Shi Guan's God's Punishment spear hit the shield and sent it flying. Subsequently, it continued to hit the black wings. Lu Ming's body shook and he was sent flying. There was another stream of blood in his mouth. Shi Guan's attack was too strong. If he didn't have 2 sacred artifacts protecting him, he wouldn't have been able to block it. So many sacred artifacts. Who is that person? He has so many sacred artifacts. In the distance, some onlookers stared at Lu Ming with fiery eyes. Lu Ming had too many sacred artifacts. He took out 3 in a row. You think you can avoid death by relying on sacred artifacts? Today you will still die. Kill. Shi Guan shouted. His body was bathed in sacred light, and he held the spear of divine punishment in his hand. He charged towards Lu Ming like a god. Shi Guan was definitely a rare genius of the Celestial God Sect. Although the pressure he gave off was far from that of a god's son, it was still very terrifying. If this continued, Lu Ming wouldn't be able to block more than a few moves even if he had a sacred artifact protecting him. Chirp chirp. At some point, Bubble appeared on Lu Ming's shoulder. With a wave of its paw, it opened a space-time tunnel, Lu Ming rushed in without hesitation. The next moment he appeared thousands of miles away. Then, with a flap of the black wings, Lu Ming quickly flew away. Spacetime domain, damn it! Shi Guan roared angrily and chased after Lu Ming at high speed. However, in front of him, Lu Ming got the bubbles to open another spacetime passageway. This time, Lu Ming entered and his figure disappeared. Damn it! Shi Guan went crazy. His anger surged into the heavens, and his killing intent was as cold as winter snow. That brat escaped again. Emohi's eyes were cold. Shi Guan, this person is from Dragon God Valley. Emohi's voice resounded. Dragon God Valley? Humph, I must kill everyone from Dragon God Valley in this meeting, Shi Guan said coldly. He turned into a beam of light and left. Lu Ming. Emohi gritted his teeth, and his eyes were as cold as a poisonous snake's. Then he left as well. Lu Ming ran madly through Tsung Mountain. Previously, Lu Ming had bubble open a space-time passage and appeared in Tsung Mountain. The terrain of Tsung Mountain was complicated, and ancient trees towered into the sky. Naturally, Shi Guan lost track of Lu Ming. Lu Ming ran for a while in Tsung Mountain, and found a remote place to let Tian Shui and Xuaningxin out. Ninth junior brother, are you alright? Tian Shui and Xuaningxin looked at Lu Ming. I'm fine. I've shaken him off. Lu Ming said. Damn it. A rank 9 martial royal realm cultivator chased after us. If I increase my cultivation by 2 more levels, I'll smash him to death with my hammer. Tian Shui said unhappily. Ninth junior brother, it's all thanks to you this time. Xuaningxin said. She and Tian Shui were not good at speed. If not for Lu Ming's Grotto Heaven treasure, they would not have been able to escape. I didn't expect ninth junior brother to have a Grotto Heaven treasure. Tian Shui grinned. Are Grotto Heaven treasures very rare? Lu Ming asked curiously. Of course it's rare. A paradise treasure is a world of its own. It's like a small world. Only a great emperor can refine it. Furthermore, it requires rare materials. Tian Shui said. Only great emperors can refine them? Lu Ming was shocked. He had thought that Grotto Heaven treasures were not rare in the Yuan continent. It seemed that the treasures obtained in the Battle of Providence were extremely rare. Let's take a rest here, Lu Ming said. They had suffered some injuries. Although they were not serious, they still needed some time to recover. Tian Shui and Xuaningxin nodded. The 3 of them sat with their legs crossed. After an hour, Lu Ming had recovered from his injuries. Where are we going now? Tian Shui asked. Let's go to the outpost in Divine Dragon Valley. Every sect has an outpost in Tsung Mountain for their disciples to stay. There are Sage Realm elders there. The people of the Celestial sect will not dare to go to the outpost in Divine Dragon Valley. Xuaningxin said. Lu Ming and Tian Shui did not have any objections. Then, Xuaningxin led the way and the 3 of them went to the outpost in Divine Dragon Valley. Soon a large building appeared in front of them. It was built on the mountainside and looked very majestic. Lu Ming and the other 2 took out their Divine Dragon Valley disciple badges and entered without any hindrance. Lu Ming. A crisp and clear voice sounded. Lu Ming looked in the direction of the voice and a smile appeared on his face. Yingying brother Qiu. Lu Ming called out. It was Qiu Yingying and Qiu Hao. The 2 of them walked towards Lu Ming with smiles on their faces. Yingying, I haven't seen you for a while. Your cultivation has improved a lot. Lu Ming looked at Qiu Yingying and said with a smile. Qiu Yingying's cultivation had reached LV3 Martial Royal Realm. This was out of Lu Ming's expectations. On the other hand, Qiu Hao's cultivation seemed to have just reached the 2nd layer Martial Royal Realm. I've received in succession in the Kangwu Mystical Ground and joined the Ice Dragon Valley. An elder of the Ice Dragon Valley took me in as his disciple. That's why my cultivation has improved so quickly, Qiu Yingying explained. Congratulations. Lu Ming smiled. He was happy for Qiu Yingying. They were friends. He was happy that Qiu Yingying had such a great opportunity. Who are these 2? Qiu Yingying glanced at Tian Shui and Xuaningxin. This is my senior brother and senior sister, from the Cloud Dragon Valley. Lu Ming introduced them to Qiu Yingying. The 2 of them greeted each other. Yingying, when did you arrive? Lu Ming asked. We've been here for 10 days. Big Brother and I were planning to ask you to come with us. But we heard that you had already set off when we arrived at the Cloud Dragon Valley. Why did you only arrive now? Xiao Yingying asked curiously. We were delayed on the way. Lu Ming smiled without explaining further. I'll bring you to your house. You just need to register, Xiao Yingying said. She seemed to be very happy to see Lu Ming. Following this, Lu Ming and the others each claimed a house and returned to their own rooms. Xiao Yingying and the others also left. Lu Ming returned to his room and continued to meditate. There were only 20 days left until the treasure sorting convention. It was still early. In the following days, Lu Ming and the others were cultivating. Shiguan did not come to the Heavenly Divinity sect either. 3 days later, Xuanixin and Tianshui came to see Lu Ming. Shopping? Lu Ming was surprised. Chapter 1520. Lu Ming finally understood what was going on after Xuanixin explained. The treasure sorting assembly was held once every 3 years. The 13 top sects of the Tsang continent would gather at Tsang Mountain. Not only that, but many other sects would also attend. It was the biggest event in the Tsang continent in 3 years. Such an event naturally attracted many big chambers of commerce to gather at Tsang Mountain. There were even chambers of commerce from outside the Tsang continent. They brought many rare treasures that could not be found in the Tsang continent. Among them, the most famous was the Treasure Pavilion. I heard that the Treasure Pavilion is a very large chamber of commerce outside the Tsang continent. They are extremely powerful. I'm afraid that even the 13 top sects of the Tsang continent combined might not be as powerful as them. Xuanixin explained. So powerful? Lu Ming was shocked. Of course, because the Treasure Pavilion is an Emperor-level faction. Xuanixin said. Emperor-level faction. Lu Ming's pupils shrank. As the name suggested, an Emperor-level faction was only called an Emperor-level faction if it had a great emperor. None of the 13 top factions in the Tsang continent had a great emperor. Their strength could not be compared to an Emperor-level faction. Every time the Supreme Treasure Pavilion comes, they bring a lot of treasures that are rare in the Tsang state. Today is the opening day of the Supreme Treasure Pavilion. It will attract countless people. Let's go take a look and see if we can buy anything useful, Xuanixin said. Okay. Lu Ming nodded. He was suddenly interested. Not long after, the 3 of them changed into black robes and wore black bamboo hats on their heads, enveloping their entire bodies. At the same time, the 3 of them concealed their auras. Even if there were acquaintances, they would not be able to recognize them. According to Xuanixin, the Supreme Treasure Pavilion would open today. Many people from different factions would go there. Many of them had grudges against each other, so it would be easy for them to kill each other. Therefore, many people would wear black robes and bamboo hats to avoid being recognized. In this way, even if they bought something precious, they would not be targeted. The 3 of them flew toward a mountain. Not long after, a vast palace appeared in front of Three-Eyed Man. On the top of the palace, there were 3 big words. Treasure Pavilion. The doors of the Supreme Treasure Pavilion were already open. Numerous figures flew into the pavilion. Most of them were dressed in black robes and bamboo hats like Lu Ming and the other 2. Even if they weren't dressed in black robes, they had disguised themselves. The 3 of them walked through the door and immediately saw a huge counter. Behind the counter, there were all kinds of treasures. The interior of the hall was extremely spacious. Counters were arranged in an orderly manner, and there were people in front of the counters who were specially assigned to greet the guests. Countless people were strolling around the palace. At a glance, there were no less than 100,000 people, but it did not seem crowded. It was clear how big the palace was. Moreover, in this place, no one would dare to make a move to snatch the treasure, because this was the Supreme Treasure Pavilion. It was said that many years ago, when the Treasure Pavilion first came to Tsang State, a saint tried to steal their treasures. In the end, an absolute saint appeared and slapped the saint to death. After that, no one dared to set their sights on the treasures of the Supreme Treasure Pavilion. So many precious materials. Lu Ming's gaze swept around, dazzling him. However, the materials, spiritual weapons, and pills here were of a lower grade, and were not of much use to the three of them. Let's go upstairs. The treasures on the second floor are of a higher grade. Xuanixin said. There were a total of 3 floors here. The treasures on each floor would be of a higher grade and more precious. The 3 of them walked up the stairs to the second floor. The treasures on the second floor were indeed of a higher grade and more precious. This is the elixir of creation. It's even more precious than the 10,000 spirit elixir. Lu Ming saw a type of elixir of creation and bought 5 kilograms on the spot. Of course, the price was more than half of his mid-grade origin stones. Lu Ming put the elixir of creation into the mountain and river diagram. Ming Lian's second body poured the elixir of creation on the Enlightenment Ancient Tree. Now the Enlightenment Ancient Tree was growing better and thicker, with more and more leaves. The 3 of them walked around. Tian Shui and Xuanixin bought some things. Let's go to the 3rd floor. Lu Ming said. Then, the 3 of them walked up to the 3rd floor. There were also many people on the 3rd floor, no less than 10,000. Of course, many of the treasures on the 3rd floor were of the saint realm, such as sacred elixirs and sacred weapons. They were very precious and many people couldn't afford them. They were just there to broaden their horizons. So many sacred weapons. Lu Ming looked at a counter. On the counter were numerous holy artifacts. At a glance, there were no less than 100 of them. No less than 100 saint weapons. How astonishing was that? Every single saint weapon exuded a mysterious aura and radiated various kinds of light. As for the counter, there were only 2 young and beautiful women standing there. It seemed that they were only martial emperors. Many people stopped in front of the counter to look. They stared at the sacred weapons with blazing eyes. They couldn't wait to swallow those sacred weapons. If it were any other place, there would be only 2 martial emperors guarding hundreds of sacred weapons. They would have been snatched away long ago. But here no one dared to make a move. If anyone dared to make a move, the next moment, they would be standing in front of a saint expert. Lu Ming and the other 2 came to the counter. Ladies, do you have any glove-type sacred weapons for sale? Lu Ming lowered his voice and asked. Of course, do you want to buy them? A young woman said with a smile. Not bad, can you show them to me? Lu Ming said. Okay. A woman nodded and took out a box. When she opened the box, a dark red ball the size of a longan fruit was revealed. This is. Lu Ming was a little confused. Didn't they want to give him a glove-type sacred weapon? Why did they take out a ball? Sir, this is a sacred weapon glove specially made by our treasure pavilion. It's very mysterious. Let me show it to you. A young woman said with a smile. Then she took the ball and placed it in her palm. A shocking scene appeared. The sphere actually softened like a pool of liquid, wrapping the young woman's hand inside, forming a glove. The young woman's palm seemed to be covered by a layer of black gauze. Then the young woman injected her true yuan. Buzz. The glove emitted a powerful aura. It was the aura of a sacred weapon. Lu Ming's eyes lit up. He fell in love with this sacred weapon glove at first sight. Sir, this sacred weapon glove is called the Flowing Element Glove. It's made of flowing element gold and other precious materials. It contains the law and is a true sacred weapon. It's very hard. Sacred weapons of the same level can't break it. Moreover, it's very convenient to use. Chapter 15:21. When you want to use the flowing element glove, it will appear with just a thought. When you want to put it away, it will appear with just a thought. The young woman introduced. What an amazing glove. Such a glove is a rare treasure in the world. Many people at the side stared at the glove in the young woman's hand with burning eyes. Such a glove was too precious and tempting for martial artists who were good at palm techniques, finger techniques, and fist techniques. Miss, I want this glove. How much is it? Me too. Miss, how many origin stones? Suddenly, a few people spoke and stepped forward. Lu Ming frowned. He was the one who asked first. I'm sorry. The materials for the flowing element glove are hard to find, and it's very difficult to refine. So there's only one. The young woman said. Only one? Then sell it to me. Get lost. It's mine. At least a dozen people spoke. The scene was noisy. This glove is priced at 500 million mid-grade origin stones. No bargaining, the young woman said. What? 500 million? The scene suddenly quieted down, and the sound of people sucking in cold air could be heard. 500 million mid-grade origin stones? Missed just one glove? The person who wanted to buy the glove earlier sounded a little hoarse. Gunj-type holy artifacts were slightly more expensive than ordinary holy artifacts. However, there were usually only a pair of them, which was why they were more expensive. A pair of good glove-type holy artifacts was worth 3 ordinary holy artifacts. A sacred weapon was worth about 100 million mid-grade origin stones. He originally estimated the price of this glove to be about 150 million, but now, it was priced at 500 million. The price was shockingly high. It's too expensive. I can't afford it. It's not worth it. Those people shook their heads and gave up on the purchase. 500 million was too expensive. 500 million. Lu Ming gasped in his heart. 500 million was equivalent to 5 sacred weapons. He had obtained 4 bright sacred weapons from the Dragon Palace's treasury. Lu Ming had kept the Black Dragon Spear for his own use, so there were only 3 bright sacred weapons left. Even if he sold all 3 bright sacred weapons, he would still be short of 200 million mid-grade origin stones. All the raw stones he had on him added up to less than 200 million. Unless he sold a lot of precious refining materials, it would be possible for him to gather enough. Miss, do you accept holy weapons here? Lu Ming asked. Yes. The young woman smiled. Lu Ming waved his hand and 3 Mingsheng weapons appeared in his hand. They were all obtained from the Dragon Palace treasury. 3 saint weapons. Many people's eyes lit up as they stared at Lu Ming. All sorts of lights flickered in their eyes, and no one knew what they were thinking. Dear customer, if you want to buy the flowing element gloves, you can use the Mingxing weapon as a substitute. These 3 Mingxing weapons and 200 million origin stones will do, the young woman said. However, Lu Ming still revealed a look of hesitation. It wasn't that he didn't want to, but that he didn't have any. He still had a shield and a pair of black wings on him, but he wanted to keep both of them. Junior brother, I can lend you 2 holy weapons first. Tian Shui seemed to have seen through Lu Ming's thoughts. With a wave of his hand, 2 more holy weapons appeared. Senior brother, you? Lu Ming's eyes flickered. It's enough for me for now. Tian Shui smiled. Okay, I'll return it to senior brother as soon as possible. Lu Ming didn't stand on ceremony. He took Tian Shui's holy weapon and said, Miss, I'll use 5 holy weapons to buy the flowing element gloves. Okay, the young woman said. She took Lu Ming's holy weapon and put the flowing element gloves into a box before handing it to Lu Ming. Lu Ming took it and reached out to hold the flowing element gloves that had turned back into a ball. It was warm and cold to the touch. After he injected some true essence, the flowing element gloves flowed like liquid and wrapped around Lu Ming's right palm. It's as light as a feather. Lu Ming felt it carefully. The flowing element gloves were as light as a veil on his hand. It was almost weightless. Wow. As he injected more true essence, the flowing element gloves emitted a powerful aura. Lu Ming was slightly surprised. He found that as he injected true essence, the flowing element gloves' weight increased rapidly. The stronger the true essence, the heavier the gloves. Lu Ming was pleasantly surprised that the flowing element gloves had such a function. Are you satisfied? The young woman said. Thank you. Lu Ming didn't say much. With a thought, he put away the flowing element gloves. If he wanted to use it freely, he would have to go back and refine it. At the side, pairs of fiery eyes stared at Lu Ming. Some of them were filled with greed. Lu Ming sneered. In the Supreme Treasure Pavilion, these people wouldn't dare to do anything to him. Lu Ming swaggered around with Xuanixin and Tian Shui. That's a heart of ice. Soon, Xuanixin found a heart of ice on a counter. It was a rare treasure. Xuanixin's true form was a snow dragon, so it was very useful to her. In the end, Xuanixin exchanged 2 sacred weapons for the heart of ice. So many sacred weapons. These 3 guys have so many sacred weapons. Some people had been paying attention to Lu Ming and the other 2. Seeing this scene, their eyes burned with passion. In total, Lu Ming, Tianshui, and Xuanixin had taken out 7 sacred weapons. How shocking was that? Senior brother, senior sister, we're being watched. Let's split up and blend into the crowd to divert their attention. Lu Ming transmitted his voice to Tianshui and Xuanixin. There were close to 200,000 people on the 3 levels of the Supreme Treasure Pavilion. At least half of them were wearing black robes and bamboo hats. As long as they blended into the crowd and kept moving, these people wouldn't be able to find them. Okay, let's do that. Tianshui and Xuanixin nodded. Then, the 3 of them spread out and sped up into the crowd. Oh no, they're trying to run away. Chase them. Some people followed Lu Ming and the other 2 closely. However, the 3 of them had restrained their auras. The other party could not lock onto their auras at all. The 3 of them moved quickly among the crowd. They walked to the first floor, made dozens of rounds, ran to the second floor, and then to the third floor. An hour later, those people had completely lost track of Lu Ming and the other 2. Damn it. What a pity. Some people sighed. Lu Ming and the other 2 definitely had a lot of wealth. If they could take it, they would be rich. Unfortunately, Lu Ming and the other 2 were too cunning. Some people were very unhappy that they had escaped just like that. 2 hours later, Lu Ming, Tianshui, and Xuanixin met at the gate through voice transmission. They had bought what they needed. It was time to leave. The 3 of them left the gate and flew toward the outpost in Dragon God Valley. However, after flying for a while, the 3 of them suddenly stopped. In front of them, 3 figures in black robes blocked their way. You guys hand over your storage rings and get lost. The person in the middle spoke. He sounded very young. You guys are really something. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.